It was one day when I was woken up by an alarm of a program, from a program on the computer, which I would have what I have written, and I programmed this program to give this alarming sound. You probably remember when you have your machine, when you boot the computer, you have this beep. So this program was programmed at this particular event to hammer this beep extremely intensively, and it was in the middle of the night, and I was really woken up by this extremely loud and annoying sound, and I woke up and I couldn't believe it, because I programmed my program to give this sound when the Bitcoin price hits $1,000 US. I first of all thought maybe the program ran at an error or something, or I was directly rushed to the computer and validated, and I couldn't believe. I mean, it was such a journey from the beginning, 2019, to this moment in 2013 where it really happened, and the price skyrocketed to that high price. Bitcoin, some of you might have heard it, is this huge innovation in technology which makes it possible for people to transfer money from anywhere in the world to anywhere else without having any boundary or any regulator or authority watching it. It's a huge innovation which makes it possible for people to transfer money. For example, here you can send, with Bitcoin, you can send money to a coffee farmer in Africa without having 10 intermediary banks that each take a cut on this transaction, maybe if even possible that they will allow you to send this money. It gives people the option doing finance without needing the banks in between. So it gives people an option. It's the first time in humankind where people have an option. I mean, all the time it was always, if you wanted to send any money, you always had to rely on banks sending the money. So now we were at this point, and the price was above $1,000. And I looked more to the right on my window in my student accommodation, and I was seeing this machine here. This machine is a Bitcoin mining machine, which literally mines Bitcoin. Bitcoin is very comparable to gold in the sense that it is limited to 21 million Bitcoins in total, and you can mine those Bitcoins more and more over time, but it's getting more and more difficult. It's similar to gold. I mean, at the beginning of the times, it was easy to mine gold. Now it's getting more sophisticated. And this made a huge opportunity, and I was just looking there, and I knew this machine right now was making so much just from the mining of the Bitcoins that within a few days, the whole investment of the machines already broke even. So you already got your money back when you would have bought those machines in a few days because of this high price. So I was stunned. I directly called my partners and said, guys, we have to move. This is a huge thing, and it's a big opportunity. We're in the middle of a gold rush. Right now, these machines, you can mine the Bitcoins, and it's so profitable. Just for you to understand, I mean, mining is needed in Bitcoin because Bitcoin is not a centralized system. There's no one in between, no central authority or central entity that controls any transaction. It's a fully decentralized system. So compared to MasterCard or Visa, you have central parts, and they validate the transaction, but they can, because of the central character, they can get attacked, or There's all sorts of things, and of course you always have to trust Visa and MasterCard. For Bitcoin, you don't have to trust anyone. It's based on the blockchain, and there's no such central entity. For this to work, you need people like miners that validate the transactions on a decentralized level, and they are spread amongst the world. Everyone can mine. As I said, it's getting more and more challenging and difficult to mine. I just want to give you one example. Very back in the days, when the first years of Bitcoin, there was one gentleman in the UK who used his laptop to mine Bitcoins. And by that time, it was possible because the competition was not so big, and he could literally mine a lot with his laptop, so he did it. But by that time, it was so early that Bitcoin didn't even have a price. There was not even a marketplace because it was really in its infancies. But he did it, and I don't want to blame the girlfriend, but at one point, she supposed to said that, why do you run this machine all the time? It's getting hot, and it's not doing anything. I mean, those virtual tokens, what does that bring? So at one point he stopped it, and he just went on. Everything was back to normal, and he was at a breakfast a time later. He put off his newspaper, and he read that Bitcoin is now trading at $100. So he couldn't believe what's going on. How can this be true? So he jumped off, and he directly, and because you can track that, you can see it, checked the blockchain. How much Bitcoin did he mine, actually? He could see that in the blockchain ledger, and it was more than 300,000 Bitcoins. By that time, it was $100, so these 300,000 Bitcoin turned into $30 million. So he directly said, wow, oh my God. But then he quickly realized this computer has been put in the trash, because he stopped doing it. His girlfriend annoyed him with this, and the solution was he put it in the trash. So of course he was a clever man. He said, $30 million is now on this computer. Where is this computer? It can't be just disappeared. So he was researching where these things are put when he puts it into trash, and he started. He collected money in order to go on this waste disposal it was brought to, and search on this waste disposal for this computer. It's $30 million. It's a crazy story. So he got the money, a little bit of money, and they did a good amount of research. It was an attractive deal for investors. If they would have found the computer, it's a $30 million. Right now, because the Bitcoin is more than 1,000, it's $300 million. So the story ends, unfortunately, sadly. They didn't find the computer. And those coins are still lying on this computer, which is probably damaged, but it's still there. So, but this just shows how incredible those very early times were. And I was in my room and got this alarm, and I was looking at my mining machine, and I was just saying, we have to move now. This is the big opportunity. It's the gold rush. So we didn't hesitate, and we directly had the plans. We have to move. We have to do something now, and we have to scale this up and make it very big. We realized very quickly that, of course, as it is very often in the world, there were a lot of other people that were aware of this as well. So we realized that on the whole world, globally, those cards, the graphic cards in those machines, were sold out. Everywhere in the world, all the big retailers in the States, in China, Europe, etc., were all sold out. So they've all bought that, and because they saw this, and probably even the retailers have realized it, and they thought, oh my God, why should I keep this these cards in my stock, so I just don't sell them anymore and just do the same and make more money by just compared to selling them. So what did we do? It's incredible, but we found a retailer, not too known, but quite big enough in Europe, that still had cards at the inventory. So we did not ask much questions, and we basically went full speed, and we from that time on, we bought this retailer so much empty that their trucks that left their warehouse did nothing else than going into our facilities, which we have set up by that time in the Eastern Europe. It was nothing else. It was the trucks. Over months of period, they did that. And of course, I mean, the retailer, they called us and asked us, I mean, what the hell are you doing there? You're buying these cards, and you're buying these professional cards, high-end cards, but you're also buying these motherboards, low-end processors are not so good. What does that make sense? And especially you're buying 6 cards in one motherboard. In your home computer, you normally have one card and a processor and the motherboard. So they didn't understand what's going on. Of course, we didn't have any big intention to tell him, because it was a dangerous thing, obviously. So we came up with telling him we're doing facial recognition, image processing, and it was fine. It was fine for them. I mean, we were a good client, a big client, and they were happy for the revenue we generated, and we were happy for the machines we got. So we did that, and we have built within a short amount of time a massive, or by that time, a very sizable operation in the Eastern Europe. And also in this town where we built it up, of course, we had the same thing. I mean, what do we tell the people? Because it's a lot of money by that time, and it's of course dangerous. We have to protect the facility, etc. And it's a small town, so the word goes around quite quickly. So they also asked, of course, and especially because there were guards guarding the facility, etc. But also we had a good reason for them, and it was credible. I mean, we told them it's a laundry, because it's steamed also. There was a lot of steam, and because those machines are very hot. So it was fine. Everyone was happy as well, or everyone went on as usual. And I want to give you a little bit of an overview, now an insight into into our first facility. And you will see on the sound, it's quite a very loud noise, and you can't believe that actually those cards, or which is equivalent to a computer, can be that loud. But if you have thousands of these cards together, just the fans create a huge noise. So let's get right on it. So you're hearing these massive amounts of fans generating these noises, and our people in there had to wear earplugs in order to work there. And the side effect was it was very hot as well, because mining basically is transforming the electricity in 100% heat. So it was a kind of sauna temperatures like for our workers, but it was interesting, and everyone was excited. So of course, I mean, this was the first step. We did that. We were very happy, and it was incredible that this all worked out. But now we wanted to grow and wanted to make bigger steps, because we had this opportunity, and and it was big. It was scalable. So we came together, and we discussed and did a lot of research in what we can do, and especially where we can do it, to make it very big, make it much bigger than we already had. And that was not easy. There's a lot of factors. I mean, you have to think about political risks. You have to think about the environmental conditions, and you have especially to think about low electricity prices. The place we ended up was really at the end of the world. in Iceland. What you see here is our facility what you see here is the power plant next to our facility in the middle of nowhere on this island. And we have done a lot of research and we found this opportunity. It was against any conventional ways. There was no way to get there in a normal way, asking some people, and that's not how it works. So we got a secret track around the conventional ways, and we were able to pull this off. And we were fascinated, and what we have created there is the so-called Enigma Farm, which is the largest mining facility for cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and also blockchain. And this facility consists of more than 25,000 cards, and if you put all the computing capacity and if you sum it up all together, there is more computing power than the world's #1 supercomputer in the world. I will show you now how it looks inside. So you have the sound of compared to the first facility is a different level. And just on the one side, you see more than 10,000 cars. You see the heavy turbines on the roof, and you see also on the side the filters. You see here the electricity, the cables, just to give an imagination of how much electricity is consumed there. And yes, this facility sets a milestone for us, and of course we were happy to pull that off as well, and went to this size. Of course, this unfortunately also attracts a lot of attention for not always the best reasons. So there is people trying to hack the farm because it's about a lot of money. Just the electricity rate. The electricity bill for this facility is more than $1 million per month. A lot of people are trying to break in various ways. It's very critical for us to keep that location secret. I think we have done a good job so far. But I have to also say that sometimes we experience things that is very strange. I mean, last time, for example, we were there and there was a man coming in a black SUV. And he cannot occasionally just step by. It's at the end of the world and somewhere in nowhere, far away from the population. We asked him, I mean, what is he going to do? And it was, as was later figured out, it was an industrialized espionage attempt. And that just shows how critical and how much aware you have to be in that space. Right now, Enigma is powering the blockchain in general, and as I said, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. It's also because it's a generic computing powerhouse. It can also do simulations for medicine, protein folding operations, and it can also be used for weather forecast. And we are very proud of this, and that we took such an important place in this growing space of blockchain and Bitcoin, and we are thriving to grow further. And I think what I just want, the message to you young people shall be is that if you want something and you're really behind it, today, in today's modern world, you can reach everything. Thanks a lot for your attention.